Good morning. Welcome to the beautiful campus of the United States Sports Academy and our weekly sports talk program. Before we get started today, we'd like to send out our wishes and prayers to the folks along the Atlantic coast. Hope everybody I have one student who actually just was allowed to go back to her house on Sunday night. So we hope everybody there is recovering from the storm, and our thoughts and prayers go out to those, I think it was 20 Americans that lost their lives to their family and friends.
Dr. Avent, Dr. Droughty, we hope that they survived it as well and had no damage, but if any, minimal at best.
Yeah,
and all of our students too.
Yeah, all of our students, all of our professors who live in that part of the country, we wish them nothing but the best, and hopefully when they return to their houses, they found it very similar to when they left. Today we're going to talk a little bit, it's the midpoint of the football season. Almost all the teams in the top 25 have played 6 games, and the regular season is 12 games in college football, so we can call this the halfway point. But before we would do that, we thought we'd talk a little bit about an announcement that was just made 2 days ago on Monday, that the Big 12 had decided to remain at 10 teams. And there's a lot of folks talking on ESPN, SI.com, all the typical sports networks about why. So you guys have done a little bit of research. Why do you think the Big 12 decided to stay at 10 teams? It sounds kind of stupid just saying it.
Yeah, I mean, why are you the Big 12 if you're only going to stay with 10 teams?
Why the Big 10 if you have 14 teams?
Yeah.
That's moot.
Yeah.
It's all again about the business of athletics, especially collegiate athletics. It's the money. ESPN, ABC, which is a parent company, had already paid them for the network contract, which does not expire until 2025. They got the money in hand. Why would they want 2 new schools to come in there and disrupt that piece of the pie that everybody's
Well, they were
getting
going to
right
give
now?
them $25 million each.
ESPN and Fox was going to give them $25 million for each team, so $50 million. But that's $100 million more.
But see, they've already got money in hand. It's not something that they're going to get.
Yeah,
They still.
But you can't say it's all about money if they said no to $100 million.
Yeah.
If you add $100 million to what they have now and divide by 12, you're still better off than dividing what you have now by 10.
Okay,
That's
but
what
see,
they're
who
looking
gets the argument right now is everybody's sort of getting their equal share. There's still that big albatross out there with the Texas Longhorn Network.
Right.
So that's a competitor, and they don't want that.
Do you think that had something to do with the decision, though?
I think, personally, I don't think they ever intended to expand. And I think what they did was a tremendous. I mean, one of the articles I read, basically the title of the article was they owe a whole lot of people an apology.
Yeah.
Because of these
That
other
was the governor of Texas.
these other schools, you know, they put in a lot of effort to make their case. I mean, if you look at the list, Air Force, BYU, Central Florida, Cincinnati, Colorado State, UConn, Houston, Rice, South Florida, SMU, and Tulane actually sent representatives, usually the president and the athletic director, to Dallas to interview in person.
I would venture to guess that all those schools put anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000 into that.
Yeah,
It's a
and
bid process.
Yeah.
They opened up the process. Those schools bid.
But if you had no intentions of
Nobody
taking
knows that they had no intention really of doing it. The bottom line is when everything played out, there were so many other factors that came into the mix that the commissioner decided not to do it. Now, word is that the real problem was the University of Oklahoma.
the president of University of Oklahoma, according to a lot of the articles that I read this morning, is an idiot. And in fact, one of them even made the statement. Another president made the statement that there will be 9 presidents in the Big 12 very happy when he retires. And basically, I think he's a former senator, and
Yes.
they accuse him of basically doing a filibuster on this issue.
But that's because, and that's exactly what I heard too. He basically did a filibuster. But that's because, once again, go back and take a look at this guy's history, and apparently he doesn't have very much wherewithal in terms of educating themselves in the realm of sport. It's all about Oklahoma.
And we talked about that earlier. Was it you?
That's
and
a
I talked
huge
about
problem.
that? I don't know who I was talking to, but that's part of the problem with athletics is people that are making the decisions don't have athletic backgrounds.
Right.
You know, look at the NCAA and how screwed up that is. Mark Emmert's a former president.
Washington, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, you know.
mhm. And look
What
look
does
at
he
the
know
shape
about
that
athletics?
Washington was in after he left.
Exactly.
Bad shape. Again,
Look
you-
where they are now.
yeah, because he's gone.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. You've got these so-called experts in education, but yet athletics is a huge part of education, and they don't know nothing about it, or very little about it. And then they sit down and make these kinds of moves. Here's another part of it that I think is an outside factor. All of those schools that indicated their interest in joining the Big 12, they didn't get that one big pie in the sky sort of institution that really would have set them over the top. All of them are sort of mediocre. Where they stand in terms of media markets and all that good stuff. Now Houston's a good market, but they already have coverage and exposure in that market. So there was not really that emerging market that they would have made a tremendous splash in.
Like Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not a big market, but they're the national program in football. I think one of the
I agree, but we all know that they would never go to the Big 12.
No, I think one of the other factors was, and this was in one of the articles I read, when they announced they were going to have a championship game,
Mm-hmm.
no network jumped on board to say, we'll cover your championship.
Because it was not a big factor.
No, because by definition, the Big 12 championship game under the current format will be a rematch.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have a team with 3 losses just based on geography, knock off your 12-0 team and knock the whole conference out of the Final Four again. So that was a bad idea to start with.
All the more reason if the FBS or the football bowl series is 4 teams, why not go to a super 4-team, 16-team conference?
Yeah.
4 conferences with 16 teams each. If you're only going to pick 4, why would you have an odd number?
Good point. I think one of the questions that people are asking now is what's next for the Big 12, and one of the articles I read talked about being specific. They said that the current TV contract expires in 3,177 days, and a lot of the folks are thinking when that happens, that's the end for the Big 12. So what happens? According to one article on SI.com, the ACC would be interested in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. ACC and Kansas, has absolutely nothing to do with football. That's all about basketball.
Yes, absolutely.
Big Ten, Iowa State. Big Ten would be interested in Iowa State, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. The SEC would be interested in Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas, and West Virginia. And the Pac-12 would be interested in Baylor, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, TCU, Texas, and Texas Tech. One of the things that's interesting about that list is that Oklahoma and Texas are on all of them, and Kansas State is not on any of them.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And they have a Hall of Fame football coach right now, a coach who retired, went to the Hall of
Coach
Fame,
Schneider.
and then came back. So you don't have very many Hall of Fame coaches
Is
still
Weber
coaching.
still there? Basketball?
Yeah, I think
Bruce
so.
Weber?
Yeah, Weber's still there. Yeah.
One of
Where's Iowa State in the discussion?
yeah. According to this one guy who
Big Ten.
exactly what you were talking about, the 4 16-team conferences, in his version of it, the ACC adds Notre Dame and Kansas. Notre Dame is kind of already connected. They're in the ACC in basketball,
Every sport.
and they play 5 ACC games. in
Exactly,
football.
and that's the likely transgression for them is because
Transition.
transition. Excuse me. You're right. Transition.
The interesting thing about that, though, is you got 2 teams listed. There's already 15 teams in the ACC. Isn't that what we
No,
counted
there's
up?
14.
No, there's
I
14.
thought we counted up 15.
There's 14.
No, there's 14.
So
You
that,
miscounted.
yeah, notice that
There's
counted
that
Notre
math
Dame.
again.
That counted Notre
Oh,
Dame.
that's right.
And then the Big Ten would add Ohio State and Oklahoma. The SEC would add Oklahoma State and West Virginia. And the Pac-12 would add Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech, and Texas, the 4 Texas teams. And again, Kansas State is not on that list.
But see, why would the SEC avoid the opportunity to add Texas and Oklahoma? Because then you get back rivalry contests between Texas A&M and Texas,
Because
and the Texas market will go crazy.
because the SEC does not want 2 teams in there that will annually kick Alabama's butt.
What two teams?
What happened last time Oklahoma and Alabama played?
Last time we played, there's new seasons every year.
That's
New seasons every year.
They don't want the challenge.
Well, if we're going,
They
they
learned-
don't want the challenge.
They learned their
They may
lesson.
not want the challenge, but they sure want the money. Everybody wants to stand in the pot of gold.
They learned their lesson when they talked all that trash about Texas A&M and Missouri are coming into the SEC. Now they'll be lucky to win 2 games playing SEC teams every week. But Texas A&M went 10-2 the first year, beat Alabama. Missouri won the SEC East 2 of the first 3 years. And Texas
And the last time I checked, Alabama was national champions, getting ready to defend.
Texas A&M and Missouri are not Texas and Oklahoma. The SEC is scared to death of Texas and Oklahoma. Okay, so let's move on to where we sit.
You act as if nobody in the ACC is going to contend against Texas and Oklahoma if they decided they could get them in there.
Oh,
I think Florida State, Clemson will have something to say about that.
yeah. Let's go to where we are currently in college football.
North Carolina State just about settled it last week with Clemson.
The AP listed the top 25. I reduced it to top 21.
Yeah, no favoritism there. So as soon as Auburn loses this week, they'll be out of the top 25 again.
Yeah, it's interesting because Arkansas is ranked 17th and Auburn's ranked 23rd. And Auburn's a 9.5-point favorite on Saturday. I think some of that.
They only have a defense. They don't have an offense.
But what's the common thing in sports?
Alabama's defense has scored more than Auburn's offense.
Defense wins championships.
Okay, there you go. And Arkansas's got an offense and a defense.
So the top 10 are virtually the same. The AP and the coaches poll have Michigan and Clemson flip flop between 3 and 4, and then they have Nebraska and Baylor flip flopped at 8 and 9. So if you look at the top 10, actually if you go down to 12 where West Virginia is, that West Virginia is the last undefeated team in the Power 5 conferences. Let me add that because Boise State and Western Michigan are also undefeated, but I think we can agree that neither Boise State nor Western Michigan are going to be one of the 4 teams
So,
in the playoffs.
Well, some folks are awfully afraid that Western Michigan may be undefeated, and then you got to contend with them.
Well, you got to contend with them, but they're never going to be.
Well, the way the structure is right now, they're not going to be considered for a championship program, but they're going to get a good bowl.
Yeah,
Sure.
they'll get a New Year's Day bowl.
Yeah.
That's a money bowl.
And that guy will go somewhere at the end of the season.
Hopefully not Purdue, because then his career tanks again.
But there's going to be some choices.
Oh, there's going to be some money choices.
And you know that's going to be a hot game.
Yeah, man.
Just like Herman.
West Lafayette ain't the place to be.
Tom Herman is Houston's ranked number 11 right now with only 1 loss, and he's certainly going to be a hot commodity this season. I've heard him mentioned at Texas, USC, and LSU, and each of those 3 jobs is probably a step up from Houston, tradition-wise.
Yeah.
Although Houston's.
But I honestly can't see.
Exponentially.
I can't see Texas pulling the plug because that'll be a huge mistake. These programs that are going down and giving these 5-year contracts and then pulling the plug year 2 and 3, that's just absolutely ridiculous. That's crazy.
Well,
You can't build a program that way. It is a fan base, but again, somebody's got to take the leadership role and say,
And we've talked
here's
about
how we
that.
build a
Well,
program.
the biggest booster at the University of Texas, what's his name? His name escapes me at the moment.
Jerry Jim?
He's
No,
he's
it's
got
Arkansas.
he's got one of those cowboy names. He
Cowboy, you're not talking about T. Boone Pickens because that's Oklahoma State.
Yeah, that's Oklahoma State. But he hasn't liked Charlie Strong from the get-go.
Yeah, but okay.
So Charlie Strong, unless they run the table from here on out, I think he's done it at UT. But so we'll see what happens from there. One of the interesting things.
And that's a sad commentary.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got somebody
Well,
pulling the strings.
This is his third year. This is his 3rd year.
Yeah.
And Texas can't be 22 and 22. I mean, they have
Not
to
with the talent in the
they
state.
have to have a better record than that. This is the University of Texas we're talking about. That's just not good enough. Anyway, one of the interesting things, if you look at the schedule going forward in the top 20, there's only 4 opportunities for undefeated teams to play each other
Yes.
for the rest of the regular season. But we have one of them this Saturday. Alabama hosts
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, and Alabama's according to which which Las Vegas site you look at is either a 17 or an 18-point favorite.
Ooh.
Well, that's because everybody thought there was going to be a close game between Tennessee, and they kicked.
I could have told you that was
Tennessee.
going to be a blowout.
But well, the other part of it is you got to take into to account injuries on both sides. Alabama's pretty healthy right now.
Yeah.
It's really minimized, so they got the horses, and they can run that train. So
Texas A&M had a week off, which could help them.
yeah, that got a chance to heal some.
They're
but we'll
going.
see.
They're going to Tuscaloosa, so that could be a factor in the game. The other chances for undefeated teams to play this year in 2
In
weeks.
2 of those games,
Ohio State plays Nebraska,
Yes.
and then if Ohio State survives that game on late in November, they play Michigan.
well, they better get
Where-
by Penn
where's the-
State and the Northwestern and some of those in
Yeah.
between.
Northwestern came out of nowhere
I
last
know.
week.
But it's kind of interesting that as you look at things, only halfway through the season, we only have the opportunity for 4
Yeah.
games for
Yeah.
the rest of the entire season between undefeated teams. And the final one
But
is
see, are you really counting Baylor and West Virginia as?
West Virginia's been doing good.
yeah.
I understand it,
If
but
Baylor and West
if
Virginia,
that's the representative for the Big 12.
Yeah,
We're-
well, here's what's representative of that is they're in the Power 5 conference and they're 12th in the country and they're undefeated.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Baylor is 8th or 9th, depending on which way you look at. I think, I honestly believe that Baylor and West Virginia play on December 3rd, and they're both 11-0. The winner of that game will be one of the 4 teams. Because you're not going to have,
yeah, they'll never take Western Michigan.
but
I mean,
but by definition,
something's got to freeze for
by definition, right now you can only have 2. If you take out the Big 12 for a second, there's only a chance for 2 undefeated Power 5 conference champions: Ohio State or Michigan or Nebraska, and Alabama or Texas A&M.
See,
Everybody in the ACC's already got a loss. So you can only have they're not going to put a 1-loss team from another Power 5 conference above an undefeated team from a Power 5 conference.
Agreed.
Because
I don't think so. I thought Washington would be a very attractive pick.
I think Washington. I think if Michigan or we're going to wrap up our show with our picks anyway. Here's my pick: the winner of the Ohio State Michigan game is in. The winner of if Alabama beats Texas A&M and runs the table, they're in. If Texas A&M beats Alabama and runs the table, they're in.
Yeah.
And then because I think the SEC East right now is down a little bit. I think the winner of the SEC West will win the championship.
Down a little bit.
And then,
Way down the block.
I think the winner of the ACC, especially if it's Clemson. I forgot about Clemson. That could be 3 undefeated teams. But so then you got to choose between Washington and the winner of Baylor, West Virginia. I think if
But you still better throw Louisville in the mix if they come in and beat Houston and win out.
yeah, Louisville needs a couple of those teams to lose though, because they certainly aren't.
Well, somebody's going to beat somebody because that's the way it plays out within that conference.
Yeah, they always get lucky. I mean, so far the committee's got
Luck of the Irish.
got
Oops,
lucky.
wait a minute. Notre Dame's not getting it this year.
They're 1-5. And Brian Kelly's got 1 foot already out the door in his reign at
Well, they say they won't pull a Ty Willingham on them.
the only time he won was with Ty Williams.
That's exactly right.
He went to the championship. The other interesting thing about we sat at Buffalo Wild Wings and watched that game. Alabama kicked their butts, and during that game, that season that Notre Dame played for the national championship, Charlie Weiss had a higher salary
Yeah.
than Brian Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the other thing that I'm glad computers are out of the system, because that game was on a Monday night. On Wednesday, the final computer rankings came out for the season, and one of the computers still had Notre Dame ahead of Alabama. Now, I wanted to ask the computer, did you not watch the game? Because it was ugly. Okay, so who's your right now? Who do you think will be? This is pure conjecture at this part, but who's your final 4, Brett?
Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, and I'm going to say Baylor.
Okay. Dr. Cromartie.
I'm gonna be that guy that is really gonna stick it to Dr. Silverbacher. I'm saying Michigan. Alabama. I'm going with Washington. And if some certain things play out, I still think that Louisville's in the mix.
Okay. I like Ohio State. I think Ohio State is the best team in the country. I like Clemson. I like Washington, and I like whoever, either Texas A&M or Auburn will be Alabama. You know, you guys laugh, but
No, I love it.
if Auburn wins
That's
out,
why we all have our prognostication. Think we're gonna let
Auburn
them play
people
out?
just
because
can't
there's a
say
record
it.
of it.
Defense wins
You can't ever
championship.
deny it. Yeah, but you gotta have some offense on the field too.
Well,
though.
you can get a fumble, you can get an interception running back. Defense.
That's what
can
Alabama's
create.
been doing all year.
Defense can create. So
Okay.
Auburn's got good
Okay.
defense.
Absolutely, defense can
Anything
create.
can happen if you got a good
But you
defense.
still have to have an offense that can run a play or two to keep the defense off the
You can
field
get-
and give them a rest.
Ask Ole Miss. You could just throw one up and knock off people and guy running in for a touchdown. Beat Alabama last year, right?
beat them 2 years in a row. All right,
They are still defending national champions.
we'll come
I don't
back.
care how you look at it.
We'll come back.
We'll
in-
visit all this again on November 9th.
We'll come back in a few weeks and we'll verify that I was right and they were wrong. No, I'm just kidding. At least we put it out there. We're not afraid to put it out there. I think the first playoff poll comes out on the 1st of November. So we've got a couple weeks before that comes out. It'll be interesting to see in what direction they go. Alabama will play Texas A&M by then. I think Nebraska and Ohio State will play by
We'll
then.
play by then, yeah.
Yeah, but we'll still the big dog out there obviously is Ohio State, Michigan. And you know, a couple years ago when they played and it was a really close game, there were some folks that thought the Michigan should get to go as well, but they didn't.
Where's that game at this year? Is it Ohio State?
One of the things
Shoot.
Oh,
before
that means you guys are
before we wrap it up,
for
I want
losing.
to do a little preview on November 9th, which is 3 weeks from today. The head football coach at the University of South Alabama, Joey Jones, will be on with us and give us some insight into the Jaguar football program. We were fortunate enough to go watch them play and defeat their first win ever against a ranked team when they beat San Diego State, number 19 at the time, San Diego State. And I saw that kid Pumphrey just became the 7th leading rusher in NCAA history, that kid from San Diego State. Anyway, we hope everybody has a good week. Enjoy college football this weekend. Enjoy the NFL and everything else that's going on. We got the
Baseball player.
Go
Go Cubs.
I'll be at baseball playoff.
I'm still saying that with enthusiasm. Go Cubs!
I will be at the Alabama 500 in Talladega on Sunday and enjoying the NASCAR race. So we hope everybody has a great week in sports, and we'll see you next Wednesday morning at 11:30 Central Time from the beautiful campus of the United States Sports Academy. Have a great week, everyone.